Hello everyone, welcome back to the ManoByte SoundBytes. I'm Amy Post. Are you curious about GDPR regulations and how they might impact your business? Today, Anna breaks down how you can protect yourself.
Some radical legislation was just passed in May of 2018, and if you have a customer base at all, you should probably keep listening. The General Data Protection Regulations, or GDPR, is a privacy legislation enacted by the European Union. Because of the mere location of these regulations, it seems it might be an easy thing for businesses based elsewhere to dismiss, especially if they know that none of their customer base is within that area. However, we would urge you to reconsider that fact, as you are likely impacted even if you only do business within the US and Canada. First things first, what is GDPR? The GDPR is a legal framework that the EU established to provide more protection for the citizens of its 28 member countries and states. It establishes guidelines that govern how businesses can collect and process their customers' personal information. In addition, the GDPR also set requirements for data management and the protection of individuals. These regulations aren't just on paper either. Companies that breach them can be slapped with heavy fines that equal up to 4% of their global revenue. Yikes. The GDPR rules went into effect on May 25 of 2018. It is unarguably the most expansive change that privacy rules have seen in decades. In spite of a fair amount of media coverage regarding its impending implementation, it's estimated that only about half of the companies in the US prepared for GDPR. What's even worse is that by not preparing, these companies could be setting themselves up for disruptions in their customer relations, some more significant fines, and other things. So what's involved in complying with GDPR? As I mentioned, a company that isn't based in one of the EU states might think that they don't need to follow the regulations, but that assumption would be false. If such a company has even one resident from the European Union on their email list or collected information from them during the checkout process, they are affected by the GDPR. Not only does the GDPR establish strict guidelines concerning the way businesses collect, store, and manage customer information they receive, these companies must also be more transparent regarding those practices. Any EU customer can request to access that data, and that information must be provided to them within 1 month. In addition, that data needs to be in machine-readable format. The GDPR also states that a business must be granted consent before they can either store or use any customer data. If a company experiences a breach in their data in any form, the people who have been impacted must be notified within 72 hours. So, is your company impacted by the GDPR? Any company that has any data on any citizen of an EU member's country or state is impacted by the GDPR. The possibilities when it comes to this type of data are far-reaching. These can include files related to medical, gaming, and fitness apps, messaging platforms, and even unstructured data like the kind often found in an inbox. The legislation is so overarching and so far-reaching that it spans collecting nearly any information and can affect those companies that might not even know they need to be compliant. If your company clears all the hurdles that GDPR establishes, you might be breathing a sigh of relief. You don't need to change anything in how you're dealing with your customers or their data. However, this approach might not be the best one to take when it comes to ensuring the loyalty of your customers and establishing their trust. Why? Well, even if GDPR doesn't apply to you, chances are that at least some of your customers are aware of it because of the huge media coverage leading up to the implementation. Given the continuous breaches in data that have littered the news the past few years, the problem is not likely to go away anytime soon either. The fact that huge companies with their generous budgets couldn't protect sensitive and private data that they collected from their customers makes it more likely that people will be cautious about sharing such information in the future. This could also shine an unfavorable light on smaller businesses that lack deep pockets and well-staffed security departments that nationally and internationally known companies have. There's also the perception that many small businesses have in their mind that their data is safer because they simply don't have access to the volume of information that larger companies have. Unfortunately, this thought may backfire. Because a small company doesn't have the resources, knowledge, or time to properly secure its data, they often make easier targets for data thieves to hack into. In some cases, it can take months for a small company to become aware that such an incident has even occurred. So, should your business become compliant with GDPR? I'm sure you know if you've made it this far, the answer is yes. In today's world where so much information is shared, it's crucial to develop trust with your customers. They need to know that their personal and financial information is protected when they visit your site. One of the best ways of doing this is by adhering to the guidelines established by the GDPR. Not only does doing so mean that you are more transparent in how you plan to gather and use customer data, but it also sets your business up to expand into the EU and other global markets in the future. Alerting your website visitors to the fact that you are compliant with GDPR will go a long way towards establishing trust that's so important to maintaining smooth relationships. And when it comes to choosing between a company that has a lackluster approach to maintaining security and one that is GDPR compliant, most customers will choose the latter.
Thanks for joining us, everyone. And be sure to check out the rest of our podcasts for more tips on how you can grow your business.